Hello everyone and welcome to a new video. Today I would like to make my top 10 tactical rocks in Warhammer 40k. Yes, I'm making this video and I'm not doing it as a joke, I'm going to take it seriously. Because I think that it can be fun and why not? Before I start, I would like to mention a few things. First of all, this video is my personal preference, this is just my opinion. So of course I'm going to mention the ones that I like the most. If there's some tactical rock that you like and you think that it should be in a top 10, please let me know in the comments. And then I would like to be clear about what I'm going to consider a tactical rock in this video. I'm not going to count parts of buildings, some kind of metal platforms, enemy bodies. I'm not going to count any of that. I'm just going to count literal rocks that a miniature is standing on. Actually, I do think that the concept itself of the tactical rock is quite lame, okay? And I'm going to explain why. No one is going to make me believe that during a combat situation, some soldier is going to be walking on the battlefield, find a rock, and it's going to step on it. It doesn't make sense to me. But I have to say that I love them, okay? Even if I think that the concept is lame, I love them and I think that they are great because when we have a miniature standing on a base, if we have a tactical rock, the miniature is popping out more from the base and it's much more noticeable. That's why I really like when I see a character standing on something. So that's why I wanted to make this, because when there's a tactical rock I like to see them and I like the concept of having them in the miniature, so I really like how they look. Anyway, enough of the introduction, let's start this top. Number 10. Canopic Scarab Swarms. In this picture the base looks bad because we can clearly see the stick that connects the scarab swarms with the base. But actually I have this miniature and you can put it down a little bit more so that stick is not going to be visible and the rocks are going to cover it nicely, and thanks to that actually those Canopic Scarab swarms, they look like they are flying on the battlefield, and that's awesome. The rock by itself is almost not visible, but thanks to that this miniature looks much great, and that's why I like it so much. Number 9. The Demon Prince. In this case I like the size of the rock because it's quite big. It's a little bit more than half of a Space Marine, and that makes the rock really pop out. Aside from that, it's a very chaotic rock because it has skulls in it, and it also has lava coming out of the rock. That makes it much more interesting. Aside from that, as I have been mentioning, the rock makes the miniature pop out more of the base. And even in this case the Demon Priest has a choice of different feats. That's why I really like that it pops out much more. I mean, if you choose one or the other one, here you have a rock that will make that decision much more noticeable. Number 8. Apothecary in Gravis armor. I doubt a little bit with this one because he has a pipe under those rocks that he has in the base. But it doesn't feel like they are connected to each other, it feels like he's on rocks and the pipe is there as well. So that rock doesn't feel man-made, and that's why I decided to include this miniature. There are other miniatures that have this kind of base, because in this case we're talking about a 40mm base and that rock covers almost all of it, which is great, and it's quite big. And if we put this miniature next to other Gravis armor miniature, we can really see that this one pops out much more. And aside from that, it's a small diorama because we also have some Tyranid things over there going on, and there's some bullets in between the cracks in the rocks as well. So it feels like a very nice sculpted base, and I wanted to choose this miniature to represent the sculpted bases. Number 7. Space Marine Chapline on bike. This is another miniature that I have, and I can say that that rock on the base makes the miniature look much better. If we compare this Chapline with a regular Outrider, I mean the Outriders are in the base like a normal miniature, but the Chapline it's popping out much more thanks to that rock, and that rock makes the base much nicer because he has more like a relaxed pose. I mean, he's not riding the bike at the moment, he's on that kinda hill rock thing, and he's stepping on the rock while he has his hand up, so he looks much better because of that specific rock there. And that rock makes him have like a nicer pose, which is also good. Number 6, Locust Heavy Destroyer. I have seen this miniature in person, and I can say that this rock, it's a little bit similar than the Canopic Scarab swarms, but much better. And I say much better because of course the miniature is bigger and it's much more noticeable. I mean, when you check this miniature on the battlefield, it actually looks like it's levitating, but no, when you take a closer look, you can see that there's a connection between the rocks in the back and the body, so it feels like it's levitating, but it's actually connected. So that's why I really like those rocks in the back, and I think that they are fantastic and they make the miniature look much better. Number 5, High Marshal Helbrecht. I am a Black Templar player, so of course I was going to put some Black Templar into this list, and I have to say that among all of them, Helbrecht is the one that has the best tactical rock. I actually have him right here, so I will judge him like this. And I have to say that of course when we put this miniature with other Black Templars, he pops out a lot. Not only because of the color of his armor, also because he has like a huge base, it's quite big. And of course this rock makes him stand out much more, and that's quite nice. And here I am also judging that he has like 2 servitors with him, and yes, it's like a small nice diorama. And also we have like bones, skulls, there's like things going on here, and of course it's like a nice good looking rock that makes the miniature have like a nicer pose and look much more better on the battlefield. And if I right now look at this miniature, it looks much nicer with the rock than without the rock. Number 4, Angron. I wanted to put a Demon Primarch in this top, and first I thought about Mortarion. But even if Mortarion has rocks on the base, he's flying, so those rocks are not that important to the miniature, and they are just there as part of the small diorama that he has in the base. So that's why I decided not to put him, and of course I went for Angron because in the case of Angron that rock is very important. In the case of Angron, that rock is super important for the miniature. I like that pose, I really like the Angron's pose. I like how both weapons are clearly visible, and for that we need to have something on the base that will make him have like that specific pose that he has. So that rock is very important. It's a very big rock, and of course it's decorated with a lot of skulls. So I cannot ask for a better corn base, so I really like how that looks, and I do think that it's super important for the miniature. Number 3, Lord Invocatus. Angron Lord Invocatus, I guess that you can clearly see that right now I'm painting World Eaters, but in this case it's totally justified because when we look at Lord Invocatus, look at that pose. I mean, look at that pose. The miniature clearly looks like it's flying on that base, and that's very difficult to achieve. It has like a lot of movement, and the whole miniature it's holding together because of that base, because of the rocks in the base. It's not only that those rocks are quite good looking, they are very aggressive, they are like spiky, it's also that they totally benefit the miniature. I mean, the back legs of the Juggernaut, they are standing on rocks, and the front legs, none of them they are standing on rocks, but one of them is connected to the rocks, but by some like these flying rocks that, I don't know, it stepped on them and then they like fly away, but it's just a few small rocks that are connecting one of the front legs with the rocks in the base, and thanks to that the miniature looks like it's literally flying. It looks like a real true follower of Khorne flying through the battlefield, and all of that is thank you to those rocks in the base. Number 2, Commander Farsight. I like a lot. I mean, I really like the pose of Commander Farsight, and to have that pose we need to have something under the miniature. We need to have something on the base, and we have a beautiful rock that serves that purpose. So it looks very good, and that rock is super important for the pose of the miniature. Aside from that, here I'm also judging the plants in the base because they are like super important. I mean, the miniature is on a rock, and then we have those plants, bushes, tree, I don't know what it is exactly, but it looks very nice and it looks like a beautiful diorama. That's why I really like this base by itself. I like the whole base. The rock is like the center element, but then we have those nice branches with the vegetation around, and I think that it looks super beautiful and it looks like a very nice base. That's why I decided to put this one so high on the top. Number 1, Grimn. The Leagues of Votan miniatures by themselves, they are quite small. That's why all the characters have like these big rocks under them to make them pop out much more and make them look much better. But in this case, I mean, I think that this is genius. I cannot think of a better way to use rocks under a psychic miniature to make it pop out from the base, because it's literally walking on flying rocks, and we can see that it's something that he's doing. So it looks very nice, and I think that it looks fantastic. I really like this concept. And when we look at the miniature from the side, it looks even much better, because we can clearly see how the rocks, they look like they are forming under the proper Grimnir, so it looks quite fantastic from my point of view. I think that it looks amazing. I like the concept, everything is working together, and here it's the main example of I'm just judging rocks under a miniature, and I really think that this is like the perfect way to do this concept. I think that he looked fantastic. I'm very happy with how this miniature looks like. Since the Leagues of Votan were announced, this is the miniature that I saw, and I was like, oh my god, that looks super cool, and I'm super impressed about what they did with this miniature. That's why when I decided to make this top, this one had to be the first one. I didn't know if to put other miniature, maybe. I was like, maybe Commander Farsight is quite cool, but this one, he's awesome, and I think that he looks great. But as I said, this is just my personal opinion, this is my personal top. So of course, if you think that I'm missing an important miniature that maybe I didn't see, or I didn't judge it properly, of course I invite you to let me know in the comments. Or you can let me know in the comments which miniature do you think that has the best tactical rock in Warhammer 40k. I just wanted to make like a fun video talking about the tactical rocks because they are quite a meme, and that's why I wanted to judge them and make my own top about them. So I hope that you enjoyed this video, and actually if it works well I can make another one with different bases that are not rocks. That could be cool as well, and like that it's going to be much more complicated because there are some nice bases over there. Like for example, I decided not to put any Loyalist Primarch on, or a lot of more miniatures that I decided not to put here, but for sure I hope that it was a fun video. And this is it, this is my top 10 Warhammer 40k tactical rocks. So with all of this being said, this is the end of the video, so I hope that you enjoyed, and as usual, if you're still here, please consider giving me a like and subscribing. Thank you very much for watching, and see you next time.